getting some momentum here. This is a good setup. Let's see if we can get filled here. All right, we're in. All right, so we did get a nice push here on Ethereum. It's starting to move higher here. So I would love to let this trade run. We're up about $4,500. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through an entire day of my live trading. I'm going to show you inside my complete process, strategy, all of the indicators that I use, as well as the specific trade entries, exits, and the real profits and losses that I'm taking throughout the day. So you can basically watch and learn from my trading. Most of you guys know that these live trade videos are something I do as part of a series to kind of keep you up to date with what we're working on our team, and so that I can sort of reinforce to you some of the concepts that we're always working on the private side of our team. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. I recently increased my dollar amount risk up to 1,000. So the goal today is to take quality setups, keep my risk contained. We're approaching 9:30 now, which is where I'm going to start my trading. So I'm going to show you how I get my trade station set up. Then we're going to dive in and look for trade number 1. All right, so hopping into our trading session, here on my left side, I have trading view populated. I'll go over what sort of setup here in a second. Over here, we have our exchange where we're actually going to be executing these trades. And then right here, I have my Notion pulled up where I'm going to be logging all of my trade information. So this is where I'm going to be tracking the data for the day, inputting all the trades that we do take. That way we can see how we stack up and actually be able to measure our data and journal all of our information. Over here on my other monitor, I'm going to pull it over for a second. This is where I have a macro view of Bitcoin. I'm trading cryptocurrency today. Okay, and what this is going to show me is basically the overall index of the market, which in this case is Bitcoin, how it's moving on a larger time frame. So I'm day trading, so I'm playing moves that are sometimes 5, 10 minutes, a few hours. This is showing me several months worth of data, so I can sort of get an overall picture of what I'm looking to see happen, and then sort of zoom in, find specific smaller areas to be able to let my edge play out over time. And you can see on a 4-hour frequency, we're starting to bounce off of the top of this level, and we're sort of at this critical area. So I'm going to play this, so if we get a major push to the downside, I'll be short bias, but if we continue to get strength off here, we could be playing to the upside. So I'm coming into this more neutral based on the day, and I'm going to be watching all of this critical analysis throughout the session. But overall, what I'm looking to target for the day is play into basically trends that are developing, wait for signs of weaknesses and reversals. Once we get these critical areas, I'm going to be playing into what are called fair value gaps, targeting these areas, using all of the confluences, some which I can show you completely, some which I can't, to be able to find good areas in the market, to be able to let my edge play out. I'm going to be doing something a little bit differently today. So when I enter a position, as soon as I double my risk, I'm going to be taking 50% of the position off. That way I'm locking in risk throughout the session and keep my equity curve a little bit more even. Yes, it reduces some of the upside on the trade, but overall it's a much smoother way for me to be able to trade this, considering that I just increased my risk. All right, so we did have some volatility out of the session this morning. What I'm doing now is going over to my watch list, and I have Solana, Ethereum, and Atom pulled up. Right, I'm going to be watching these 4 trade ideas. All right, so now let's see if we can get into trade number 1. All right, so looking at our charts here, I actually was targeting to try to get into this area here, which we already would have been sort of into profit about 3 to 4 risk factors, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get the order in quick enough. Okay, so now that we have a breakdown in this price action, I'm waiting to see if price can come back up, test the underside of this into this midpoint here, and then make a continuation down lower. So markets are really volatile right now, so this might just come straight up and stop us out. That's part of the trading game. You're going to see throughout this session, we're actually going to lose a lot of trades, but goal is to keep the risk contained. That's really one of the biggest things about trading. So let's see if we can get filled into this order now. All right, and we're in on this trade now. We came up and wicked through. We did get an initial response, but it's going to take a lot to flip this price action. So we're going to see if we can actually get this to roll now. I mean, get some momentum in our direction. Otherwise, we're just going to keep our risk contained, and we're going to keep pushing on to the next trade. The goal is to see if we can get a flip under here and then a break underneath this level here, which is something called a break of structure. If we get a break of structure, this is what's going to be our signal to start reducing risk on the trade. And now we're basically just waiting for 1 to 2. All right, so that position stopped us out for a loss. We're starting off our day with a loss. I'm just going ahead and journaling this in. We did end up losing 1,300, which is obviously going to be a little bit more than 1,000 that we're risking on the trade, which is just something annoying that you have to deal with trading. At this point, I want the market to sort of stop whiplashing around and pick a direction. So I want to wait for the technicals to sort of develop here before I'm just jumping into trades. I really want to see this area pick a direction to break to the upside or downside, which is going to give me some sort of conviction on the directional bias for the day. So at this point, I'm going to let things stabilize, and then we're going to find trade number 2. Taking a bit of a gamble here, but we did just go sweep and then have a very bullish candle off of this area, leaving behind a fair value gap. So my other confluences are all aligned. We are getting support once again off of this macro trend level, which I could see flipping from here and potentially trading back up into this range. So I'm going to try to tap in on a long position here, see if we can get filled. If it continues dropping, that's okay. But if we're able to get in and play the flip, then that's a good trade for us. All right, so it looks like price is continuing to make lows here. Second loss on the day, which does happen. We're gonna see if we can turn it around. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and log this trade idea, make sure that we're tracking all of our data. Now what I'm gonna do is wait to see what happens with this overall trend movement. I'm still not completely given up on getting some sort of support here, but now I'm playing into only the strongest confluences. So I want all of my rules to be lined up. That way I can really aim to be hyper selective on the trades that I do take, because I don't want to exceed 3 losses in a row, because then I have to basically terminate my trading session in order to follow my rules. But either way, I'm gonna let the market sort of do its thing, and then we're gonna get into trade number 3. All right, so I'm looking here at trade number 3 potentially. What I like to look at sometimes for an RSI is something called a divergence. Notice how we have price sitting here, lower RSI, lower price action, higher RSI. That's indicating a potential change. If this candle closes, we could enter here on this fair value gap and play this trend break to the upside. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my order in. So this candle basically just closed, which is confirming that that is a fair value gap. So now let's see if we can get filled. All right, we're in. So let's see now if this divergence is going to play forward, if we can get any momentum to the upside. All right, trying to play in the reversal, just keep getting stopped out. I'm going counter trend. So here's the thing. You guys always ask me, why do you only show your winning days, whatever. If I were to end the video here, it'd be like 5 minutes long, probably. What I'm gonna do now for this trading session, because I'm shooting this video and because I wanna make sure that I can actually release it, I wanna be transparent with you guys that this is where I would stop on the day. I just lost 3 trades back to back. Not a great trading session. Time to pack it in. I'm fairly confident that I'm gonna come out on top here. I don't like to do this because it's slightly more risky, but for the sake of finishing the video, I'm going to just be really careful with my trading and try to come out at least ahead on the day, just for the full transparency's sake and just for the whole process. This is where I would call it quits. So what I want to see is a full change in direction here. So I'm just going to wait for that to happen and then hopefully be able to play into a big swing in momentum in the session. But for now, I'm going to journal this 3rd loss, let the markets reset, and we're going to look for trade number 4. All right, this happened kind of quick, so I just wanted to hop in here. Damn, we're getting a dump now. So basically, I've been tracking this trend the entire day, but I saw that we finally got this weakness underneath this trend with a sell signal with my proprietary indicator off of this entire trend level. What I'm looking at on a macro trend level is we broke underneath this support level, which means that this is really our last level of support. If we come back down and reapproach this and break underneath it, we could trend down for the rest of the day on a macro chart. And this literally came up and wicked me into this trade and then immediately reversed down. So this happened faster than I could even start the camera. But basically, on a larger time frame, I really want to be able to play this down for the rest of the session if we continue trading. So we got a first initial move off of this area. Position looking really, really good. I don't want to reduce risk yet because I'm kind of going for, I guess, a bigger position. I'm going to go to the gym in the meantime, let this trade play out. A lot of the trades that I sort of don't watch and reduce risk on end up being the mega big winners. So hopefully we have that sort of situation. Fingers crossed, and we'll find out when we're back from the gym. All right, so unfortunately, the trade that we took earlier here came all the way down. We're up about $7,000 at one point. I was going for a home run today, and then price came around and actually responded off of this level and then had a response all the way up, and I took the trade off for break even. And so for this session, I really just can't seem to get good areas on the chart. It's just been really difficult to try to find quality setups this afternoon, and things just sort of aren't playing into my hand. I'm just gonna wait for only a quality setup while I'm making dinner, and we'll see what the next trade is. So I have a trade idea here. Price starting to move in my direction. Broke underneath this low here, and what I was noticing over on this price action, this is a pretty significant level that's been being tested the entire day. You'll notice we have this range here of consolidation with this midpoint always getting support, breaks, turn resistance, and this is right between in the middle of this fair value gap here. I have my indicator showing me a continuation on this trend, so if I can snag the midpoint of this, it's agreeing with my other confluences for my trade. So I'm looking for a push here. I have my order in. I'm looking to see if we can possibly get filled. So now we will see, sir. so close. I'm so close to hitting these bangers, and just today, price action has just not been agreeing with me. But that just goes to show you though, the ideas are there. Now this is the period where you have to learn how to control yourself. You can crash out, you can make crazy decisions. Like I could go and try to chase after this or whatever. I'm staying in my pocket. I'm seeing frustrating things like 7R, 6R, reversing, whatever. You have to be able to keep yourself locked in during this period where you're feeling emotional or you're feeling like you should be chasing trades to try to revenge trade, whatever. I've been sitting here since 8 a.m. in the morning basically trying to trade, and I've lost $4,000 so far. So you have to be able to understand that as frustrating as it is, you have to be able to manage your emotions. I'm gonna let the market develop. I know that if I trust my process, there's going to be a good setup, and if there's not, that's also fine. So I'm gonna step away again, let this sort of move play out, and then hopefully we have another opportunity. All right, so I decided to go for a double workout here and go for a run, but letting the price sort of come all the way back down and then back up here. I've seen a lot of times where areas like this that are very important will come up and get responded off of again, and then have a really big move in the direction. So I'm still targeting this area to see if we can get a quick flip and a continuation down. All right, we just had a big push to the upside now, and we're coming up to retest this area. So I'm hoping that we are able to get that response here and we can get a quick flip, make profit on the day. So hoping to see that now. In the background, if we do break out to the upside here, I'm evaluating this Ethereum sort of downtrend that we've been playing into all day to see if we can get a big push off of this area, in which case I'll also like to take a potential long here if we get a flip. So that's sort of what I'm watching for the time being. So price is starting to coil up at this area, which is a really, really good sign to the downside. We just need a deep crack. I think this could happen fairly quickly. I'm not usually chanting for trades to happen. I'm usually pretty chill, but considering the scenario for the day, I'm going to be pretty excited. $1,400 in profit now. So just looking for just a little bit of something in our direction. Damn. All right. So that is trade number 5. We have 4 losses and a break even for the day so far. So I got one more trade here on the day. I'm not going to keep trying to fight back here, but clearly waiting for good setups hasn't really worked for me today. So we're down nearly 6,000 on the day. Mind you, this can quickly flip around if we do have a trade that moves in our direction. So once again, just trying to keep my head clear and just continue to take trades the way I know I do. I still have hope. All I'm going to do is follow my process and we'll see what happens. But I'm going to hop in the shower, sort of unwind for a second, maybe step away, and then get back to the charts. We did get fill right here, and now we're moving down. We got a nice push in the market. We're up about almost 4,000, right around 4,000 right now. So I'm just gonna let this sort of play out a bit and just gonna keep playing some golf. Hopefully we can have this be a banger on the day, but looks good so far. So that trade that we just took on Solana ended up coming all the way back up again and stopping us out for break even. So got another break even on the day here. So I'm going to try to take one more trade. This is literally the last trade. We have to eventually throw the towel in, and we're going to try to go out with the freaking bang though. We're getting some momentum here. This is a good setup. All right, let's see if we can get filled here. Just need a quick pullback and then a continuation. All right, we're in. So I'm bringing out my secret strategy here, which is basically adding a magnet here. So we're going to go ahead and pull this price action up to break highs here. So this is going to help push the price up and assist us in our trade. So now we just have to wait for the magnet to do its thing and push the price up, and we should be good. All right, so the magnet strategy is working. So we're just pulling the price up towards our take profit. We're up 2,400 now, looking for a big push. So I'm going to keep working my magnets up here. All right, so right now it's taking me everything I have to not take this trade off the table early and to let this sort of play out. We're up like $3,300, so I could cut my losing of the day basically in half. I really would like to let this run, so we're gonna see. All right, so we did get a nice push here on Ethereum. It's starting to move higher here into this area. I want to make sure that I'm walking my stop loss into take profit. It's like 11:30 at night right now, so I would love to let this trade run. We're up about $4,500, and I sort of just have my finger on the trigger here. I'm going to take the trade off if it doesn't break this high, and we are out fully of the trade. All right, so we locked in a little over 4 risk factors on the day. We were able to recoup just around 3.8 risk factors here on this ETH long, so we finally checked the win box here. And for the day, we were able to have a 14% win rate. So definitely had brighter days. Watch, this is going to rip highs now. All right, so let's take a look at how we did for the overall session as a whole. Okay, this is the worst session that I've definitely dropped on YouTube for certain, but I want to go through all the trades start to finish and sort of show you where my mindset was on the day. So overall, we had a short bias right out of the gate. So my idea was let 930 open right here. I found this area, which was resistance previously, into a fair value gap, looked for a quick flip, price chugged chugged straight through it. We lost $1,346 on that trade. As we saw price sort of start to melt off throughout the session, I was trying to play a quick flip, you can see on my RSI here, into this fair value gap to see if price would come up and try to retest this area. And I was just trying to make a cheeky flip, and then price continued to drop down, which caused me to lose $1,288 on that trade. Okay, from here I was basically fighting the bias for the entire day now. Once again, tried to take a long once I saw this trend level break. Fair value gap, I wanted to tap into this and try to get a flip over this high, and then price just came straight through, stopped me out again. This time I lost $1,449 on that trade. All right, next trade that I took here was on Solana. Once I was waiting for this, realistically this trend level to break down, once I finally got a break underneath this low and a close, I wanted to get into a fair value gap. Right here, my other indicators are saying yes, we saw an increase outlier in volume, which is something that I look for. Tried to get short, we were up $7,000 at one point, and then price just reversed all the way back up and stopped me out for break even. But with fees and everything, I lost $567. Next trade that I took was waiting for Solana to break down in this level. This was a high impact area. I wanted to get short once it came up and retested it, and then price just came back up. Once again, we got our initial technical response, and then price just flew through our area and stopped me out for a $1,287 loss. Went for a short on this trade. We were up, once again, floating 3 or 4 risk factors on this trade. Things were looking good, and then price whiplashed up again and stopped me out for break even. I lost $345 in fees on that trade. Realistically, I was just going until I was going to hit a winner, which now had I have let this on the table would have been 6 risk factors, but today I need to be done. But either way, I was sort of watching this Ethereum trade for the entire session, and I knew once I broke out of this area that I was really interested in playing into this trend. So I checked all my confluences. We saw a break of structure, price tapped back into this impactful fair value gap. Almost got stopped out on this trade, which came really, really close, and then we got a reversal up. I was sort of just trend following this, and then we got wicked out at this area. So it left a little bit on the table for sure, but was able to get around 4 risk factors, which at the end of it was around $3,800, which gave us our 1 win. So in total, getting $3,854 on that last day put us down on the day $2,400, or about 2.4 risk factors with a 14% win rate. Now, for me, I think that there's a message in this, and also this is actually pretty incredible. I wanted to test myself to have poise and have control and sort of just make sure that I wasn't glamorizing by only showing sessions where I was winning and then only talking on the private side about the losses and really getting into this. I wanted to share some of that on the YouTube side with you guys because I think it's important for you guys to see the realities of this. These sessions do happen. Like I said, typically I'm capping these off at 3 losses, and then I can come in the next day and sort of let my edge play out over time. But this trading session, I was getting chewed up. Everything wasn't working out. You know, we had some trades that were big winners and then I had to let run, whatever. To lose 2.4 risk factors and only win 1 trade, have a 14% win rate, all I have to do tomorrow morning is let a nice juicy trade win at some period during the day, and I will be up off of this session. And then if I hit a few good trades, and that's sort of how I'm able to chip away and make profit over time. All right, it's not glamorous and it's not pretty, but don't feel like there's something wrong with you if you're having loss after loss and all you see online is people winning, because once again, this is a business. If you're still here, make sure you hit the like button on the videos and subscribe to the channel if you want to know when I put ones out. Okay, you can check out our team in full education right here. But until next time, I'll see you all in the next one.